I just want to review some of the meetings coming up on April the 28th. We'll have speaker Carrie Kursky with us, who is the identity theft expert here in Southwest Florida and pretty much known around the United States. And she's going to speak about what you're looking at on the screen, and it should be a dynamite meeting. We always have a crowd of about 100 people show up at the library when she speaks. So I expect that we'll have over 100 that will show up for this meeting. She's an excellent speaker, a real identity theft expert, and you'll really enjoy her meeting. On April the 21st, we have Gary Rosenzweig, who I consider the real Apple genius, right up there with Shita. And he'll be here on the 21st, and he's going to talk about advanced iMovie tips and tricks, and also take general questions about anything Apple related. On Wednesday the 14th, we have our iOS genius and resident speaker, Mitch Briers, Naples Mac User Group member for many, many years, a big asset to the group, and he will be with us next week. Today's meeting
George, please have people email me questions for the next week meeting.
Yeah, we will. Please email Mitch questions. Otherwise, you'll have to make some up. You're better off emailing them. But anyway, today's meeting is Ed Evans. It's going to be a regular Q&A meeting, and I just want to take about 10 minutes and introduce Mike Wozniak, who's going to talk about the Naples Mac User Group, brand new, right out of the box website. Mike, it's all yours.
Thanks very much, George. So I'll,
I had a screen I wanted to show.
I need to share my screen. So Mike,
okay.
Mike, are you looking after this stuff today?
You can share it. You got it shared.
I'm getting a disabled sign saying host disabled participant screen sharing.
Mike, did you start everyone up to share?
It's working now.
Okay, great.
Fantastic. Well, here it is, folks. Many of you have probably seen this already following George's email yesterday, but we're super proud of this site, which has replaced a WordPress site that's been in use and has served the group really well, but for a very, very long time, and has been in desperate need of a bit like the rest of us, a bit of a haircut in these strange times. So over the next 5 minutes, I'd love to just give you a quick tour of the site and just give you an idea of kind of what's where. I think that everything on the old site still exists somewhere, but it's just a lot tidier. Jenna Cox, who created this site for us, has introduced a lot of visual elements to make the site more engaging and interesting. And we're looking at the home page at the moment, and you can see we've got a number of tabs at the top. Down at the bottom, some little highlight tabs which describe our meetings, how to join, a little bit about our message board and our classes. And the next tab along covers membership, and this of course will affect us all, because this is where we go, for example, if we need to update our personal information, like if you move house or something. So that's all there, and obviously there's a facility for new members to sign up. Next along we have our meetings page, and you can see some information about Carrie here, which George was just describing, coming up at the end of the month. And we've also got tabs for people who don't know how to use Zoom, so they can go and watch a movie. I believe that it's soon going to be up, the movie attached to this button is soon going to be updated by Dan Wasink. He's promised me he's going to do this, so fingers crossed we see it quite soon. Again, we've got a join NMUG button, and I don't know who asked the question about previous meetings and where to find them. So in future, this will be the button. This button here, your YouTube channel here, will take you. I'm not going to click on it because I don't want to waste too much time. But when you click on it, you'll be taken to the NMUG page on YouTube, and you will find every single NMUG meeting available to view, including the most recent one. George, I think you normally push these up, I think the morning after a meeting, is that correct? Or on the same day?
Same day or the morning after.
Yeah, so yeah, so this meeting will be available soon, and all previous meetings are already sitting waiting for you to dive in. I don't know if we're all using the iCal calendar, but I'd really recommend this. It was available on the old site. For those of you, I hope that most of us use Apple's calendar. Let me just show you what I mean. So here it is on my system. And for the 7th of April, and indeed for every Wednesday through the month, I have a Naples mug entry, and when I double click on it, it offers me the join Zoom meeting web address. So I can just click on that and it will launch me straight into the meeting, which is fantastic. So if you're not already using this, all you need to do is download it from here on the website. That will download, is it an ICS? I think it's called a .ics file or something like that. But all you have to do is double click on it and it will launch and it will populate your calendar with all future NMUG meetings. Fantastic. Right, that's meetings. Not much to show on the classes page yet because, of course, we've just finished this year's classes. Again, we've got a bunch of links for people who want to sign up and all of that sort of thing. We have previews of the speakers for our fantastic classes. And this, of course, in coming months will be populated with information about all of the forthcoming classes for January, February, March 2022. So that's classes. Message board page doesn't have a great deal on it, just it's exactly the same as the previous one. It has documents explaining how our message board works. So for anybody who isn't already using it, this is a quick introduction to how it functions. I've made a little video which is available here, but there's also a PDF which has been cut up into 3 very short, sharp documents if you want to learn how to make better use of our fantastic message board. About NMUG has boring official documents, which I guess probably, but is it local government that insists you have to have these on your website? I suspect it probably is. If you don't know who the officers, all the guys running NMUG are, the Rogues Gallery is here. And then finally, if you're interested in learning a bit more about the genesis of NMUG, there's a little potted history here as well. And finally, we have a get in touch page. The get in touch page, which I've outlined here in a couple of sentences, that's not there for you to ask technical questions. That, of course, is what the message board is for. But it is there if you or anybody else has a question about NMUG, perhaps about joining or anything else. I mean, I hope you agree, but I love this site. I think it looks dynamic and exciting and modern and attractive and engaging. It's fully dynamic. So if you view it on an iPad or an iPhone, all the components jiggle around to fit the smaller screens. There we are. If anybody has any questions about the site, I would love to attempt to answer them. It's very quiet.
Okay, Mike.
Right.
Hold on, you got a couple of hands.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Alan and Barbara.
Yes, it's Alan.
Hello.
Can only members access the site, or can non-members access it? And if I wanted to send a copy of the meeting I did a month or so ago to a friend who's not a member, is that at all possible?
Yes, it is. That's two questions. So the first question is, note the site is entirely public. And when Jenna, who is a professional web designer, no surprise, but when before Jenna started designing this site, she sent us a questionnaire asking really lots and lots and lots of questions about kind of what we wanted to achieve with the site. And everybody agreed that the most important job for this website was to entice people, new members, to join the group. So that was that's the front of the queue, and for that reason alone, the site is absolutely entirely public. So that's the answer to your first question. So that's www.naplesmug.com. Now, if you wanted, let me just find the previous meetings. So if you wanted to share one of the YouTube videos with a friend, you need to do that from the YouTube channel. So I'm just going to click the YouTube channel button. That will take me to the Naples Mac User Group page. And here you can see the most recent half a dozen videos. So that's Dennis, Dale, Mitch, Sheeta, and you. There you are. So now if I click on this video, this is your video, and then you can, let me just hit the pause button and stop George talking. And if you want to share this video, if you just hit the share button, you'll find that one of the options will be email. And if I now click that button, do you see it's populated this email with this web address, which is the unique web address for your video, Alan. So all you need to do is tuck in the person you want to send it to, and perhaps a line just explaining that this is your video, and send it.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, Don Peacock, you have a question.
Yeah, Mike, do you admin the calendar?
I will be. I don't know how to at the moment,
Okay.
but that's something
Marsha,
that will be happening over the next couple of weeks.
Marsha,
Oh,
does
sorry, are
the
you talking
calendar-
about the iCal?
Yeah.
No, sorry, no, that's nothing to do with me. And that's, did you say Marsha?
Marsha.
Okay. How about the website?
So the website actually doesn't require a huge amount of admin. The most important thing, oh, and I didn't talk about this, but this beautiful widget here, which is on the meetings page, you can see the 4 meetings that are lined up for this month, with Ed today and then Mitch next week, followed by Gary, followed by Carrie. But I can jump forward to next month here and see what's going on in the future. And I can also, if I needed to, for some reason, work backwards, at least through last month. Obviously, this will become more and more populated as time passes. So one of my duties will be to keep this calendar updated. At the moment, I think we only run to the end of May. Yeah. So over the next week or two, once things settle down, I'll be populating that with future meetings.
All right, does that answer your questions, Don?
Yes, I had one more. And can you go back to the home page?
Yeah, of course.
And someone already posted, okay, scroll down. Okay, there. Okay, for some reason, those things, okay, someone also was confused. If you hover over under the green apple where it says message boards, you get the finger, which to me indicates that it's going to open another page. Do those have to show the finger? Because, there was a
I will
post
ask.
from one of our members, so that
Oh.
it defaults evidently to message board. And so I clicked on that. I was wondering, I said, well, it'll probably get a thing saying, if you're not a member, you need to log in.
Yeah.
But can that not show the finger? Is that possible?
I could ask Jenna. I'm afraid I know nothing about web design, so I don't know the answer to that. But it's there, of course, because you have this choice of 4 tabs.
Well, click on those tabs because it actually has a function. It's giving you
Right.
information below it. So
Right.
it's not taking you to the message board. It's giving you
Okay.
information about the message board.
Okay,
Yeah.
no, I found that out, but I was, as was the other member, confused by that, but I see that now. Thanks a lot.
You see the function of it. Okay, Jim
Thank you.
Corsica, you have a question. You're welcome, Don. Jim Corsica,
Mike, great website. Do I understand correctly now that the only reason we need login information is for the group's IO postings?
Yeah, I think so. Yes.
No.
Oh,
What do
sorry.
you mean login information?
What's that?
What do you mean by login information?
We used to have, like a hyphenated name on the website, and
No, there's no login information. You can navigate everywhere you want except the message board, which you have to be a member, but you do not log in through the website to get to it.
okay, and at this point, we would all be part of the message board group anyway, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, just members.
Thanks.
Okay, Dan Sailors, you have a question? Dan, your hand is up. We can't hear you.
And okay, now, just a quick question, Mike. Right in the beginning, I think if I remember, you mentioned what framework this is built in.
Yeah, so there are 2 widely used platforms for designing websites. WordPress, which is what our old site was built in, and Joomla, that's Joomla, and that's the preferred platform of Jenna. And the reason that she decided to use Joomla instead of WordPress is that apparently, and as I said before, I know nothing about this stuff. I have no interest in it at all, but I just like looking at it. But as I understand it, Joomla requires a bit more experience in coding than WordPress, so it isn't as immediately easy to use for a developer, for a website developer. However, to its advantage, it's much easier for clients to update their own sites once the site's been built. And I know this to be true because I'm sure you know I run Suffolk Mac User Group here in the UK, and Jenna built our site about a year or 18 months ago. And I update that site on a regular basis, and it's absolutely as easy as opening a Pages document. So it's fantastic in that respect.
I was just curious because I do WordPress too, but you like to keep yourself aware. Thank you much.
All right, thank you. Frank, and you are the last question we're going to handle until we get, and then we're going to go on to the presentation. Frank, go ahead.
Okay, just one quick thing. In the membership section, where it has the information about the calendar.
Yep. No, it's not there.
That's not it. Joining in, okay. No, that isn't it either.
No, I can't remember.
Go.
Oh, it's
I
meetings.
can't remember where it is. Meetings, maybe? Yeah,
it is.
okay. That calendar, if everything is public, can't a non-member get the iCal calendar into their machine and attend the Zoom meetings, but because they're there?
They could get that information, but they wouldn't be able to get into the meeting because Sheeta and Eckhart watch like hawks.
Mary.
Oh, Mary, so I'm so sorry. And yes, watch like hawks and won't let anybody in that isn't on the membership list. So the answer to your question is yes, but
okay. But they could click.
They could try
to Eckhart, who can say $25, please, or whatever.
Absolutely.
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
that's all I wanted to know.
All right, thank you. Okay, with
Excellent
that,
job.
it
Let's
is a
start.
beautiful calendar. All right, let's hand it over to Ed. Thank you, Mike, so much for that explanation. And
Pleasure.
actually, I want to take 1 second. Jenna is here. Can we just say a word of thanks to Jenna? She is online with us. She is a member, as a matter of fact.
Yeah,
So-
did she come? Did she come in? We
Yes.
we invited her, but we didn't think she
Yes,
was coming.
she said earlier that she wouldn't make it today. So
I'm here.
hello.
I'm anonymous.
Hello, Janet.
You don't want to look at me. Hiya, Ed. How you doing?
How are you?
Blow her up.
Ah,
Blow
you're
her up, make her a
incognito. I
big
see.
picture.
Oh, yeah, she's hiding.
All right. All right.
Hi,
Thank you.
Jenna.
Thank you, Jenna, for a very beautiful site.
She is
Well,
a
thank you.
very beautiful woman, and we really appreciated all the hard work that both she and Mike did on this website. And thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
you're very
Jana.
There, welcome instead of goodbye. All right. It says I have questions and answers. Well, somebody had questions, and I hope to have some answers. Not necessarily always the answer that somebody wants to see or hear, but we'll do what we can do. But first of all, I have to say, be careful what you share with George, because it might come back to haunt you like this, which really was a very fun time for me and a couple of my daughters. And we, 14 years ago, we were out there and visited the Macworld Expo, and we're among the very first people to learn about the new thing called iPhone. And it's amazing how much things have changed since then. But that was fun. So back to my first question. Somebody asked, when I take a photo on my iPhone 7, I don't hear the shutter click always. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And a little bit of investigation shows that you won't hear that click if the volume is way down or muted, or if you are taking a live photo. As I'm showing over here on the side, there's that little target that's up in the upper right-hand corner on your phone in the camera. And if you touch that, you turn live on or off. If live is on, then you get that little movie at the front end of your photo. And because that's a movie with sound, they've turned off the shutter click. So that's the answer to that. A little more complicated, the next one. My calendar has too many calendars, and how do I get rid of some of the extra ones which may or may not have anything in them without losing data? And well, first, if you're looking at the list of calendars on the left-hand side of your calendar window, and you control click the one that you don't want, and I've had some differing choices here. Sometimes I get right into delete. Sometimes I'm given the choice that says delete or merge. And merge is really the best one, because that does the whole thing for you. It merges from the calendar that you're clicking on into some other, and you specify which one. And then everything in the old calendar moves to the one you're merging into, and the old one is gone. It goes away. But on the other hand, if you can't do that, if you have to say delete, you've got that warning that if you delete it, you're going to lose all of the events that are in it. And so then you want to go to export. And so you select export, and you get the typical window like this that shows you that that you're going to name your export file something or other and where you're going to save it. And you go ahead and hit the export button. And it doesn't take very long. It exports all of those things. And then your next choice, of course, is to go and import. And you import into the calendar you want to import it into. Specify the thing that you had just saved and bring them in. And then your old calendar has gone away and your new one is merged. So two ways of doing it. It all depends on what iCal allows you to do. And I could not see rhyme or reason for it sometimes giving me a choice of merge and sometimes not. I think that kind of covers it. If you've got questions, raise your hand or jump in there and I'll try to fix it. Oh yeah, we have to add the new event. We specify where it's going to go. That was part of the last step in the thing. Okay. I had a question about alternative universal remotes for Apple TV and how do you use them? And well, the first logical answer is to use the remote app on your phone, which is pretty neat, but it's not a universal remote. It's just for Apple TV, but it works pretty easy and it's there. It doesn't cost you anything because you already have it. It syncs up. It sees your choice of Apple TVs that are close enough. And there's this entry code type of thing where you have to sort of shake hands to make sure that you're not intruding on somebody else's. But that's the Apple TV choice. On the other end of the spectrum is the Logitech Harmony 950 is one that popped up in my search, but there's various models of the Harmony. And they look kind of like this. And you see it, this price, $190 for a used one is what I saw from Amazon. But they work very well and they can do all sorts of things. And the setup really involves identifying all of the devices that you want to control and setting up the different functions that you want to run. And you can see that list there where it's saying, you know, to watch TV or get mood music or play games or whatever. And you set up your activities. You specify for each activity what devices it's going to use. And it's pretty neat the way it steps you through all of these things. And it even has some little devices where you can now hide your devices behind the closed door because it's sending out the necessary signals on extra little modules so that they don't have to have the infrared signal going directly from your clicker to the device. But that's why it's a more expensive thing. It works pretty well. But the final choice that I'm listing here is almost a no-brainer. Again, Amazon is offering this GE Universal Remote, which is truly universal. It'll work with all kinds of different things for $10. And obviously from the picture, many different colors. And if I'm looking for a universal remote, I'd probably start with that because it doesn't take very much effort to buy one from Amazon. And if you don't like it, you can send it back. I don't know how to set it up and use it, but I'm pretty sure it's going to work pretty much like any other universal remote. And of course, if you go to Amazon or someplace else and you Google the combination of universal remote and Apple TV, you'll see several other choices. I guess I didn't see any point in listing anymore because they were somewhere between $10 and $190. So that kind of covers the universal remote question. If anybody wants to know more about that, you can raise your hand. Yes.
Yeah, you do have a question. Alan and Barbara, can you please unmute yourself to ask your question?
Yes, I have a Roku connected to my television, and I've long since lost the remote to connect to that Roku. Do you think this $10 remote would serve to communicate with that Roku stick?
That's a good question that I really have no idea, because I only discovered this $10 thing when I was looking to answer this question. And I would guess there's a good chance that it would, but I would invest the $10 to find out. I know that the Logitech one would take care of it. But,
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Ed, do you get the GE Universal from Amazon?
Yeah, you order it from Amazon.
Okay, well, there probably are many reviews that will tell you if it works with the Roku. So you could probably read a review before you even buy it. But $10, it's worth it. Yeah.
Yeah, $10, and you can send it back if you don't like it and get your money back. So that's and you don't have to leave your comfortable armchair. So that makes that kind of.
This is Mitch. Actually, there's 2 or 3 different universal GE remotes on Amazon, and they all have several thousand reviews, and at least one of them, it has a backlight feature.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
Thanks, Mitch. Jim Corsica, go ahead.
I would just urge that you check that any universal remote that you buy has a voice command capability on it, because that's one of the advantages of using the iPhone or the actual Apple TV remote.
Yeah, good point. And I would not expect most of these would have the voice command. I'm quite sure Logitech and I would not expect GE to have that.
Well, I think that's a big feature that you would want to have.
Well said.
All right, thank you, Jim. All right, Ed, go ahead, all yours.
Thank you. Okay, we had the question about this popping up on a screen and being scary. And what is it? And do I worry about it? And a little digging told me that the Assistant D message relates to a dictation functionality, which pops up when you hit that function key twice. Again, I have not run into this, and I haven't even tried using the function key twice. Actually, I did try that. It does work. But yeah, denying the message if you don't know what it's all about, if you're not trying to use the dictation, denying it sounds like a very logical thing to do, and there's no reason for it to terrify you. That's my quickest answer to that. Does anybody have anything to expand on that? Because that's about all I could learn about it.
No responses.
Okay.
So, all right, go right ahead. Frank, you had a comment?
Yeah, I use the double function key all the time on the Mac Pro, my iMac Pro. It works almost perfectly, probably 98% perfectly. And the only problem I have with it is as soon as you put period there, you have 2 nanoseconds to pick up the audio, or it goes away and you have to double click again and double click again and double click. So it's a good thing to have. I would recommend it strongly.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay. So the next question was about transferring passwords from Safari to a document or to 1Password. And the most explicit answer I got when I started fiddling around with using the keychain things was that it just said there's no way to export passwords from the keychain. And I did dig around and I found reference to an app called For You Key from TenorShare. I don't have any experience with it. As I recall, to use it, you have to pay for it. I was not too interested in doing that. And so I'm going to sort of say the best answer is no, you can't. But does anybody know of some other answer to that question?
Okay, directly offhand. Yeah, directly offhand, I don't. Anyone in our audience? So far, that answer is no. So I would proceed, Ed.
Okay, thank you. more up my alley is there a simpler and less expensive database for Mac that's more like FileMaker was back in the beginning? And some of us remember that along the way, FileMaker Pro happened, and then FileMaker came out with a simple thing called Bento. That didn't last very long. And there isn't something out there. And of course, with Microsoft Office and the Windows world, you get access. This is their database, but there isn't an access in the Mac world. And well, with my level of involvement with FileMaker Pro these days, I don't really have a need or time to dig around looking for alternatives, so I haven't researched this much. But a quick search came up with a couple, well, this website, which is, I think if you say Mac How To as opposed to Machow, Mac How To has a little comparison, and the stuff you see on the white over here, which is the best program for Mac, best database program for Mac. They like NAC or Ninox, and NAC is an online thing. It's not a client on your Mac, but you use it on the internet. They seem to like that best. But if you want it on they say on-premise, meaning on your device, they like that Ninox database, indicating that it could get expensive if you had lots of clients. But it's probably worth digging into or going out to see that particular website, machowto.com, and read what else they have to say. They had quite a lot, and their whole thing was really, what is my choice to get access on a Mac? And they say, well, you can't really do that. But that's the best answer we have for that.
Bob Kennedy, you have a question.
No, I have want to go back to the 1Password question before. I think I can think of a workaround, a safe workaround. I would not trust my data to an unknown developer, whether they.
Neither would I.
And however, there is a safe, I think, safe workaround. If you log in using the keychain, iPassword will ask you if you want to save that. So you say yes, and you have transferred it.
Yes, that's it. I think that's pretty true. Of course, that's one at a time, not for their whole
That's one at a time, but you don't have to type it.
Right, that's correct. Thanks, Bob. Appreciate that.
Okay, all yours, Ed.
Okay. Next, we have a question about getting a nice printed page of a calendar month with bold numbers on a printed page, and the person asking the question said, well, you know, I can't get a nice page like this from iCal. The numbers are small and kind of blurry, and what can you do to improve that? And I couldn't find an improvement in iCal, but for some time I did use a product called BusyCal, which you do pay for. I stopped using it because I felt that everything I wanted was in iCal, and I didn't need to pay the upgrade fee, which I think might have been close to $50. So I stopped using it. But I went out to my old BusyCal and was able to produce this page you see on the right, which isn't too bad. At least the numbers are big enough that I can read them. And so BusyCal might be an alternative. They do have some other nifty little features, like in addition to a week, you get a 2-week calendar to look ahead a little further, and so on. And again, you can try it for free. They'll give you a demo to play with for a while if you want to do something different with the calendar. Okay. Next question has to do with moving some of my music from my Mac to my iPhone without going through iCloud. And I know I've got more experts than myself out here who can expand on this. So please correct me if I'm saying it wrong or jump in. But my understanding at this point is the way you do this is you connect your iPhone to your Mac using the charging cable. You open music or iTunes on the Mac and you select songs on the library. Then you click a song or several songs, and then you just sort of drag them down to your phone. That's the way I know of doing this. Again, I say I don't have a lot of experience because for several years I've been subscribing to iTunes Match, and for 25 bucks a year, all of my music, whether I bought it from them or not, is transferred or available on the cloud, and I get it available on all of my devices. And the downer there is that it is on the cloud and it may not be present on your device, but you can download it to your device. But if you are suddenly out in the car, on an airplane, you want to listen to some of your music and you haven't downloaded ahead of time, you may not be able to hear those songs there. So Jim or anybody have any expansion to this? Any better suggestions?
Yeah, I do. When you have music in your library, you can actually create a playlist, and then you just sync the playlist to your iPhone. Yeah, your iPhone is plugged in, and you sync, with music open, you sync it together. So that's how, yeah, you can do it like that. You're welcome. Jim, you have anything to add to that?
The only modification I would say is that the syncing takes place through the Finder now, not through actual iTunes. You used to plug in the phone and then iTunes would open up and you'd get a syncing panel. Now that syncing panel is on the Finder. So you plug in your phone, you click on the device in the Finder, and then that window opens up and allows you to choose playlists or songs or artists, whichever hierarchy you want to use.
Good. Interesting. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. All yours, Ed.
Okay. Maps, iPad maps. And the question is, how do you keep the location pin on the map after closing the sidebar? Because once you've found something on your maps, you got that sidebar over there, which talks about what you found, but it takes up rather a lot of real estate on the screen. And yet you close that, and then the pin disappears. It's no longer on the map. And so if you go to find something on the map, and then you see the pin pop up, and so you can see the sidebar for the public library is taking up a fair amount of real estate. And it's not really intruding in this case because it's out in the Gulf, but I can see in other situations you're gobbling up a chunk of the screen with that sidebar. But now you want to put a pin that will stay after you make that go away. And so sort of force touch on the map somewhere near that. Not right on top of it, but right near it. And then you wind up with this kind of a pin that it puts down there. It creates a quote marked location for you. And once you've done that, then you may close the sidebar, and that little pin is left there for you. And if you then tap on it and sort of get the sidebar back for it, but then you can edit that location because it won't be exactly where the other one was because you had to touch somewhat away from it. But you get into the edit mode, and then you get this thing up. And interestingly, as you adjust it, the red pin does not move. The map moves under it until you get it where you want it, and then you save that, and then you're back with your map with the red pin showing you where your place of interest is. So I've used that a couple times. It's fairly handy because yeah, that having that big thing on the left sometimes is kind of annoying.
Thanks, Ed.
You're welcome. And if you were to connect a keyboard that is specifically designed for your iPad, for iPad pairing to your iPad, do the keyboard shortcuts work? I would say yes, most keyboards do. I'd say most, I'm kind of guessing here. I have one, and I have the Apple Magic keyboard, which is pretty neat. And on that keyboard, there's a function where you can see shortcuts that are available to you, and it varies from one app to another. But this is what I get when I'm in Numbers on the iPad with that keyboard connected. And you can see there's a lengthy list of keyboard shortcuts that it's offering me there. In Pages, it's a much shorter list, and various other things. So it'll vary from app to app of what they've enabled there. But so yeah, you can do that, and it's useful because I was wondering the same thing. I do have other issues with the paired keyboard where things don't work the way I wish they did. Some of the automatic correction as you type, for example, if you were speaking in the first person, you say, I did this. The letter I is not automatically capitalized as it would be if you were typing on the on-screen keyboard. Other things do get capitalized automatically. And by force of habit, when typing on the iPad, I would tend to sort of hit the shift or uppercase key and then go and type the letter that I want to have appear as a capital letter. However, this keyboard is more like a regular keyboard where you have to hold that shift key down when you're typing the other letter in order for it to come out as a capital letter. So it's just you have to kind of get your mindset that, yeah, I'm using a keyboard now, and I'm not using all the smarts of what comes along with the iPad built-in keyboard.
Frank, you have what I think is an interesting question. Are you asking if there are keyboard shortcuts for iOS? Frank? Frank?
No, my
Okay.
question was that I gave Ed was, do the Mac key shortcuts work? And I think that's what he's showing there on the screen.
I know, but I was asking about, Frank has a question. But anyway, okay, let's proceed. Thank you, Don.
Marilyn had a notation there also.
Right. Burden, you have a question.
Yes, how can you merge address lists?
Oh, Burton?
Yes.
Can we handle that question at another time?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not covering what we're covering right now. Thank you. Well, all right, go ahead, Ed.
Okay. Messages only shows the initials of the message sender. And how do I go back to seeing the full name? And that's kind of interesting. The answer here is not in messages, it's in contacts. So if you go to contacts and then preferences and select the general tab, as you see on the example here, and then you've got short name format. And you click on that and you get the choices that I'm showing you there, where you might be seeing first name and last initial, or first initial and last name, but you can change that to any of those other choices. You just select what you prefer, and that's what you'll see then in your messages. And it was a little bit sneaky that went hiding out in contacts instead of in messages, but that's where it is. It's a little more of a complex question here. How can I get a Mojave install disk to downgrade from Catalina back to Mojave? And that's a question that's sort of going in the opposite direction from where most of our conversations have been recently, but I can understand why somebody might wish to do that. And what I put down here in the lighter text is basically stolen directly from somebody's website. It says the good news is that you can downgrade back to the previous version of Mac OS. The bad news is that it's a lengthy process with several steps. And then my suggestion is Google downgrade from Catalina to Mojave and find several posts and YouTube videos. There's a sample of one of the videos over on the right side here. But I'd have a serious conversation with Jeff Bohr or Dennis DiGiacomo or some expert like that before doing it to make sure that you're not going to get tangled up in something you can't get untangled from.
Can I respond to this?
Absolutely.
Okay, so there actually is a website on Apple where you can download these past Mac OSs. And if you can download them and create an install disk, you should be able to do this. And I wouldn't think it would be that complicated. You just need to make an install disk. And I believe if you start up from that install disk, you should be able to install directly over the existing operating system, even if it is a higher operating system. And I can't seem to remember where that website is. If I can find it, I'll post it on the group's IO. But I actually think someone who's in attendance now gave me that site. But you can find these older Mac OSs. All right.
I think
anyone else?
I did. Yeah, I think I did see a reference to that site, Sheila, when I was looking, when I Googled that question. And I guess one of the things that scared me a bit, and it could have been just the way it was written, that it sounded like there was some chance where, well, of course it said back up everything first, but it sounded like you may wind up erasing everything on your disk in the process of putting this stuff in here. And so I said, oh, okay, better go check with Jeff or Dennis. but yeah, go ahead.
Well, there certainly is, because you have to remember that you're upgrading to a lower system, which may not have, definitely won't have the same features.
Right.
So if you just make sure that all of your documents and your preferences are in a safe place where you can access them afterward, then you really shouldn't have a problem. If you have particular software that you've downloaded, you know, make sure you have a backup and use the backup to transfer stuff over. So it's not a horrible thing. It's just time consuming.
Right.
So, yes, go ahead, Frank.
This is my question, actually. I sent to Ed. I'm actually, more than willing to burn the village. And so my plan is to burn the village. The one concern I have is I went to Apple website, I put, Mojave OS or install Mojave OS or whatever, and all the little, magnifying glass question things. And I never got to any site that had me able to download anything.
You won't. And that's why I thought it was unavailable until someone showed me the correct method to do it. So I'll look for it and see if I can find it.
That would be great.
Okay.
Can I add something here?
Yes, go ahead, Dan.
If you're looking for the software for the download, the fastest way to find it is go to Apple support, then click on the Mac, and then click on OS, and you can find it there. If you put it in the search box, it will bring up all of the old operating systems, and you can actually download it from there. If you download it, then you can, which has already been mentioned, get the instructions on how to make an install disk. But I would tell anybody trying to do that, here's the first thing, and it's good for everybody. The one thing you really need is you need a list somewhere in writing of all the software you got, the keys, if it takes a key, and all of that stuff. Because when you start moving things from one OS to another, when you start putting your software back, sometimes it wants that information because it's hidden in different places.
Yes.
A fail-safe method, but it takes time. If you've got everything you need and got all of your stuff backed up, all your files, everything that you've accumulated, if you really want to start over, you can burn the bridge and erase the disk and start with a clean install and then move everything back the way you want it. But that is a process. But I'm just, the basis of what I'm saying is there is a place in Apple support on the web that you can get any of those operating systems.
All right, Dan, what did you say the website was?
Go to Apple, regular apple.com, click on the support tab. And when you get to the support page, look, you have to scroll down a little bit, and it is iOS support or OS support, because Apple has that support system in different things, whether it's a iMac or a Mac or a MacBook Pro or your iOS stuff. iOS gets a separate page, but under the regular, if you click on Mac for Mac support, then under Mac support, you go to the operating systems or OS support, and then just put in the little search window, Mojave, excuse me. Whether you want Catalina or Mojave, or you can go all the way back to High Sierra if you wanted to.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Who's been speaking? Who has been speaking?
This
Dan?
is Dan.
Okay, thanks.
And trust me, I have had clients that have tried to do it on their own, and I've had a couple that we wound up actually erasing the hard drive and starting over. And of course, when everything was moved back, they were happy because it was a much better system, but it is not for the faint of heart.
Right, and just to add to that before we move on, I would recommend doing a clean install, because if you just try to copy over it, you don't know what kind of sludge you're going to leave behind.
No, that's
Oh,
right.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, Ed, all yours.
Okay, that's what I love about these kinds of question and answer things. And I know that I'm not the expert on all of these different things, but it's great to have this field of folks out there who can add to and expand on it, and that's great. I'm glad that you were there, Dan and Sheila and everybody else, to expand on the answer. And I hope you got what you needed out of it, Frank. So,
I actually did, and I really appreciate it, and appreciate Sheila too, your piece. One of the things that we have in the Chicago users group that I'm a member of is called the Afterglow. And when we're done with the meeting, we, tell people if they have time, stick around, and it becomes a Q&A session that involves everyone. Nobody's muted, unless they have a dog barking or something. But it's a pretty interesting idea if you might want to consider it.
Okay. Thanks, Frank.
Hey.
Okay, moving along. Tricky question. Is there a way to tell when messages on my Mac are going to sync with messages on my iPhone? Well, I think my answer is sort of best like, I don't know. As far as I know, there's no way to tell. I'm guessing, purely a guess here, that it has to do with there's different latency between Wi-Fi things and cellular things, and they seem to be at different frequencies. And ask Mitch next week. So from there, let's go ahead.
Marilyn, you have a question.
I don't have a question, but I have a comment on this situation. I was having trouble. I have my messages synced to my iPad and my iPhone and my Mac and my watch. And I was having trouble with messages on my iPad, and realizing that I had a Wi-Fi iPad and not a cellular iPad, I thought maybe it just was taking too much time to switch over to the phone or to some cellular connection. And I couldn't figure out what to do. And finally, what I did is I deleted the message previous from that person that I got before I got stuck, not syncing the message. And after I deleted that last message from that person, it all worked again. So there was some kind of complication or some mix up with the connecting of that previous message. So I'm just suggesting that if you're having trouble syncing to one of the devices all of a sudden, it might be a bad message. And if you can get rid of that, you might be able to sync again.
Good point. Thanks, Marilyn.
Okay, we have another question, and I don't know what your name is. Your initials are AIWBARO. You have your hand up in the chat.
I'm sorry, that's me, Alan and Barbara. I went out and came back and didn't change my name. I'm sorry, but it's Alan.
Go ahead.
My question relates to the syncing issue too, but it's not syncing with messages. It's syncing with emails. I erase an email on my Mac, and it doesn't go away on my phone. I erase an email on my phone, and it stays there in my inbox in my computer. So, I mean, is there a way to get, when I erase it in one place, to just erase it, have it automatically erase in the other place as well?
Alan, do you still have that really, really old computer?
Yes, I'm afraid I do.
Okay, well, we just answered your question.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead, Ed.
Thanks. Although I have to admit that recently, and very recently, I've been having some strange behavior in mail on my various devices, but I'm not prepared to go into and discuss that right now. But anyhow, the next question. Interesting question. What is a zip file? Okay. It doesn't seem to have anything to do really with Mac. It has to do with everything. Zip files have been around longer, I believe, than the internet. I kind of remember them way back, and I had to exchange things from one PC to another through floppy disks, and the floppy disk wasn't always big enough to hold what you're trying to do, but that you could move things around by compressing them into a zip file and then expand them on the other end. So it's as simple as that. You've got a utility that will do the compressing for you, and then at the other end, one that decompresses and puts everything back just the same way as it was before. And it will also, the files were originally in various folders and subfolders. They come back the same way. But I don't know what the algorithms are and how they work, but they just seem to work. And there's, I guess, different names. I remember PK zip and PK unzip in the Windows world. And now if I get a zip file as a download from something in an email, I'll just, it goes into my downloads. And if I double click on it, it unpacks it. And it works pretty well. So I can't explain it much more than that. Does anybody want to explain zip files in greater detail than that? I'm happy to listen.
Oh no, you explained it pretty well.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Okay. My current MacBook Air is from mid-2013, and I hear rumors that a touchscreen innovation is in the works. Do you think it's imminent, or should I go ahead with my purchase? Well, my crystal ball isn't that good. And it was interesting when I said, I wonder if Google has anything to say about this. And on the same question, one line says that, hey, you can buy one on Amazon right now. But there was also some reference to an article from last November saying that Apple will never do that. Now, the only thing I know for sure is that Apple will never say until they do it. So I guess I wouldn't dare recommend to anybody to do something or not do something based on that sort of rumor thing. We've been hearing about we're going to see a new iPad this month, and Mitch just let us know at the beginning of today's meeting that we're probably not going to see a new iPad coming out this month. So I think we wait for Apple to tell us what's coming, and then we make our decision. That's my best answer. And that basically is the end of my questions that I have lined up here. So at this point, I'll advise you that, hey, Mitch is on next week, and I'm happy to attempt to field other questions that somebody might come up with or expand on anything that I said.
Okay, so my first comment to everyone is that Ferris, you made a very interesting comment in the chat. Can you please unmute yourself and explain your comment?
Yes, which comment in particular?
The one about when you downgrade, but you've used a newer program to work with your documents. Hold on, you may have to unmute yourself. I may have accidentally muted you.
Oh, that's okay. Yes, I know Apple is very bad at this. It's not backwards compatible with a lot of its programs. So if you update, and this happens if you've got a laptop and an iMac using different levels of software, this can be an issue. If you update a document with a new version, you may find you can't then edit it with the old version. There's a lot of incompatibility. And that if you're using the mail program, it may do something to the mail database. I don't know. I wouldn't risk it on your live system. I would, before I upgrade a Mac OS, I always create a new system on an external SSD, upgrade that system, play with it. If I'm happy, then I'll migrate my main system. But I always test on a test system first.
Agreed. So do I. Thank you. Thank you for that. Okay, now, Burton, you have been patiently waiting. Thank you. Can you ask your question now? Burton, are you still here? Okay. I think Burton ran out of patience. Okay, Bill Nice, can you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yes, I have just upgraded to the new operating system, and in using mail on the top of your mail platform there, you have the choice of throwing away your mail or deleting it, whatever you want. But the reply and the reply to all are off the screen. You have to select, I'm not looking at it right now, but you have to select
a couple of dots over to the right, I think, to find how to reply or reply to all. Is there a way to move them up there on the regular platform there so you can access it without going through 2 clicks?
I don't have an answer for that. I'm not experiencing that issue. And I'm not sure why. You know, I'm having a look at the Mac Mail right now, and I've got quite a few things to the right of reply and reply all. So I've got a sort of a 3-column view here, and I know you can adjust the width of some of those columns. I'm not sure if that's going to.
I tried that.
Gerald Gifford, can you unmute yourself? Gerald had a comment about maybe it's your screen resolution.
Is that possible? I don't know. Just a thought.
Well, this is on a big 27-inch screen. I'm not sure how I get rid of my Zoom so I can look at that and still talk with you.
Command 0. Command 0.
Go to System Preferences and look at your displays and see what it says there about your screen resolution. That's all you have to do. Use the native screen resolution. If you've got your screen resolution changed so that the letters are bigger, like my wife does, you won't see the whole screen.
Mm-hmm. He's correct.
Yep.
Huh.
Bill, are we getting you to where you in system preferences?
I can see it now. I mean, but there are 2 arrows over there by the spyglass. And if you click on that, then you get a reply all, forward. It's a drop down, smaller, bigger. But I don't know how I can get it up there where it's always visible, because I use those quite a bit.
How about view and toolbar? Configure your toolbar in view.
Can somebody share their screen and show what they're talking about?
Customize toolbar.
Hi, Bill should be the one to show his screen so that we can walk him through it.
Can you show your screen, Bill?
Yeah, if I can get back to Zoom here, I think. No, that's not it, is it?
Just hide your web browser, Bill. Click on, is that Safari? Click on Safari.
Okay. Yep.
And go to hide Safari. Or
Okay.
just hide it that way. Go ahead. All right, so select.
Can you see my screen?
We can see your screen. So what are you not seeing?
Okay, I'll get rid of this. Up here at the top, I don't have.
Click view, and under view, you can reconfigure the toolbar. And you can put anything anywhere you want.
I'm sorry, I've got an alarm going off here. Okay, up here at the top, I have to go over here.
Go to the view, go to in the upper there, view, and then go to customize toolbar.
Yeah.
Get rid of that big thing there.
Big thing.
Yeah, your search bar is too large. That's why you
It's too
can't
long, too
see.
big.
It's too
Just
large.
drag it off.
No,
No, remove it, drag it off.
I'm not sure what you want me to remove to it.
That's Bob.
Or you can also relocate them. You don't necessarily have to move that. You can relocate them so that your search bar is smaller. Drag or default, the default set. Something is in the way.
Yeah, this is Bill. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
You have a message in the way.
I do.
Yeah, you have a message that's in the way. Choose done. Choose done, please. Close this message. It's in the way. All right,
Okay.
now do this again. Go to the view menu. Customize toolbar. Okay. Now, your moved, where it says move to, up at that search bar up at the top right, where it says move to, top right. See if you can make that smaller. You have to drag the edges. There you go.
Oh, perfect.
Yep.
Hey, thank you very much.
Does he have anything he's not using,
Anything-
like the archive button?
One at a time. Who asked the first question?
I was wondering if he had things that he doesn't use up there, like the archive bucket.
Yes, how do you get rid of that? Just drag it down?
Drag
That's
it up.
correct.
Get out.
Yeah, drag it up and out and let go.
Okay, great.
And
Thank
those
you very much.
You're welcome. All right. With
Either the
that,
double arrows indicates there's more.
yes, double arrows do indicate there's more. He can make that line, drag that line more to the right. No, it won't move. Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I think it's those that the two A's, the smaller and bigger.
right.
Yeah, you can see if you click on the double A, will you be able, yeah, the double arrow, I'm sorry, will you be able to drag the smaller, bigger? Click on the double arrow, please. Nothing happening?
No.
All right, then I would, if you need the smaller and bigger, take the smaller and bigger icons and drag them maybe up somewhere else so that they're not on the right. Yeah. They
Yeah.
might
Go
also,
through
yeah,
it and throw out everything that you don't
Yes.
need there.
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll look at that and see what else I can throw out.
Okay.
Yeah, great. Thank
All
you
right.
very much.
Okay, and with that, thank you everyone for your combined help to help Bill.
Yeah, that was great.
And yeah, and George, it's all yours.
Okay, everybody, thank you very much, and we'll see you next week, and have a good, safe week.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Ed.
Good presentation.
Great.
Good show.
presentation. Thank you.
Great show.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot, Ed.
everyone. Mhm.
Bye.
Thanks all for your
Bye.
participation.